All right, bang, bang. Today is Friday. It's October 1st. Welcome to the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports. I'm here with Allie. It is True Crime Friday. You guys know the drill by now. Allie, how are you today?
I'm good. They know the drill by now because we just figured out we've done this for a year.
A year, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly a year? Well, since you've been
since the very, very first guest one.
Yeah, you did the guest one and the Natalie Holloway one, and then you came on
December.
So, wow.
Yeah, or end of November. I don't
How
know.
about that, Allie?
You just, time flies when you're having fun, Eddie.
Yeah, right. And talking about very sad and depressing stuff.
Yeah.
I guess.
How fun is that?
Yeah. Before we get started today, Allie, I want to talk to you about Upstart, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I got to DM people, okay? And this is real. I'm going to post a DM on @DogWalkBarstool, our Twitter account. Someone DM me, first-hand user of Upstart. Have heard you guys talking about it on Dog Walk, and I was getting nowhere with my credit card debt from college. Checked it out, and in literally 25 minutes, I was approved and cut my rate in half of what I was paying. How about that?
How about them apples?
That's nice. Okay?
That's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm very happy to hear that because Upstart, they're a fast and easy way to pay off debt, and it's all done with a personal loan all online. Whether it's paying off credit card debts, consolidating high-interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 1 million people have used Upstart to get one fixed monthly payment with a clear payoff date. Rather than looking at a credit score alone, Upstart considers other factors like your income, current employment, credit history to find you a smarter rate. That's all done online, like I said. You can check out your rate without impacting your credit score as well, which is important. And you can get loans between $1,000 and $50,000. And you can get the funds as fast as one business day after accepting the loan. So to find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today, when you go to upstart.com/Eddie, that's upstart.com/Eddie. Don't forget to use our URL to let them know we sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit income and certain other information provided in your loan application. Upstart.com/Eddie. Go start doing that today. Very happy to hear about a listener trimming that in half, Harry. It's nice to hear, right?
Always some good news to hear.
Thank you, Harry. What a drop-in by Harry.
Guest appearance.
Guest appearance, yes. Also, it's Friday night, okay? You know, maybe you have some big plans. Maybe you're going on a date. Maybe you're like, going to have sex with someone, okay? Roman swipes, they're here for you, people. Don't just sit there with these other methods and, think about the Netflix top 10. You're like, whatever you can do. The foolproof methods aren't foolproof. You know it, I know it. So that's why Roman's here for you. It's a clinically proven way to last longer in bed. They're effective, easy to use, and they're fast acting, but they don't require a prescription. Roman can ship swipes to you in discreet, unmarked packaging, and each swipe packet is small enough to hide in your wallet for whenever you need it. They're super easy to use. Just take the swipe out of the packet, swipe it on, let it dry. You're good to go. That's it. Go to GetRoman.com/walk, and you can get your first month of swipes for just $5 when you choose the monthly plan. That's GetRoman.com/walk. Go get the swipes, people. I mean, it's as easy as that. Stop doing these, secrets for saying the Pledge of Allegiance in your head, counting backwards from 10. It just doesn't work. So get these Roman swipes, clinically proven as a way to help you out. All right, Allie, what's going on today?
Okay. So today we are doing... covering kind of similar to what we did with the Richard Ramirez, where we chatted about a documentary / a true crime case. There has been a ton of movement in the true crime world within the month of September, let's say. Obviously, last week we covered Gabby Petito. There's still a lot of movement in that case, but almost simultaneously as that was going on, there has also been a lot of movement in the Robert Durst case, which... Robert Durst, for those of you guys who don't remember, was the main focus of the documentary released by HBO it was actually released in 2015, called The Jinx.
Unbelievable doc. If you've never seen it, it's more like a 6-part series or something.
Yeah.
It's not just a one shot kind of thing, but unbelievable. It's when you said, and I saw he was back in the news, but I don't know. There's something about where I just don't want to click on a website and get the pop-up ad or a subscription where I just kind of bypassed it. So excited to kind of hear what's happened because it sounds like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's big movement in this one. This one, like you said, the documentary series was really, really good. It was a super different documentary in the sense that for example, the Richard Ramirez, it was a documentary about, him and his crimes, which had long been solved or long been closed. Whereas this one was like, here are the alleged crimes. This guy has not yet faced, at the time of that documentary, has not yet faced like charges or trial or conviction or anything. So it was kind of this documentary while there was like ongoing alleged crimes, which was, if you haven't seen the documentary, go watch it. It's been out for 6 years now.
Yeah.
So sorry if we spoil it for you. You've had 6 years to watch it.
And for the people who did see it, we're just going to do a brief kind of
brief
of what
overview,
happened, and then get into what happened. And then I believe at the end of the show, we'll give a little Gabby Petito update as well.
Yeah. We'll kind of touch base on that as well, because there's been, even just from last week, there's been movement in that. So Robert Durst, brief overview. We're not going to go into huge detail because it's a very well known. And if you want to go into detail, you can go and watch the Jinx.
And that's the best way. Like, who will be kidding? Like,
really, really good.
That's
series.
like a must watch. Like, nobody will do a better job of explaining Robert Durst than watching that. So go check that out.
Yeah. So, brief overview. Robert Durst was alleged to having committed 3 murders. One for the disappearance and murder of his wife, Kathleen McCormick Durst, his best friend, Susan Berman, and his neighbor in Texas, Morris Black. Morris Black was killed and dismembered, and then his body was disregarded. That was, it's kind of these 3, and what has been so hard about that case, or all 3 of these, was that they were all so different. So it was hard to pinpoint it to, hey, I think this was actually one guy, especially the Morris Black one, where it was just super brutal, super random. Again, his body was dismembered. Like, the first thing that was found was just his torso.
Yep.
Then they had to go back and find all his body parts after. So first who disappeared was Kathleen. Then Susan turned up mysteriously dead, and then Morris Black. Now, Robert made it seem, so this all started with his wife Kathleen going missing. Robert made it seem like she had gone into the city to do her own thing, and from there she disappeared. So he kind of made himself, and I say made specifically, he made himself an alibi. And it, as they started to pick that apart, there were several holes in his story. His story changed several times. It was very suspicious. Then his best friend Susan Berman ends up dead. He had claimed, he went to visit her. He walked in. She was dead in the bedroom. He had found her, but he was not in the state at the time that that murder was committed. Again, pretty suspicious. Now, it was very clear, it had come out that he had been giving her large lump sums of money. Prosecution went on to argue he was paying her off because she knew something about Kathleen's disappearance and murder. So, with all this being said, Susan had admitted to her friends that she had created a false alibi for Robert Durst on the night that Kathleen had gone missing. This was something that over the years he was paying her large lump sums of money. She was keeping quiet. She eventually wanted to come clean, solve the mystery, make sure that Kathleen got justice, and boom, she ends up dead. All right. Now, with all of this, so we go through the documentary, we cover all the disappearances, we cover the murders, we cover the holes in the story. A couple pieces of super damning evidence in the documentaries is one, so there was a note that was sent to the police that said something about Beverly Hills. Beverly was spelled wrong. There was an extra E as Lye. And this was, this is something that police immediately picked up on. Somebody spelled Beverly Hills wrong. Now, Robert Durst wrote a letter to Susan Sherman, spelled Beverly the exact same way. Now, in the documentary, they take just a clip, just a picture of the word Beverly from the police note, and the same thing, just a picture, just a little clip of the word Beverly from the note he had sent Susan Berman, and they put it side by side, and they put it in front of him, and they say, look how similar these look. Can you tell the difference? And Robert is super clearly taken aback. He's like, he's essentially like a deer in headlights. He's caught kind of caught red-handed there, and he's like, no, I don't know, and kind of tries to like squirrel around it. Super piece of damning evidence right there. Now, and if you haven't watched the documentary and you have plans to watch the documentary, I would pause this episode right here, go watch it and come back, because I'm about to talk about the end of it. Mm-hmm. The end of the documentary, where they go through all these things, the host confronts him about all these discrepancies, all these anomalies. Robert Durst either kind of squirrels his way around it or doesn't really have an answer, or, just pulls something out of it, thin air, and what have you. And then that's very clear. Like, it's very clear that he is not this squeaky clean guy. At the end, so they're done recording, cameras are done rolling, but Robert Durst is still mic'd up. Again, the cameras he's not on camera right now. And he starts talking to himself. And he says, this is a direct quote, that they caught the mic was still rolling, even though cameras were not. He said, what the hell did I do? I killed them all, of course. And then in that point, his lawyer jumps in and was like, stop talking. And that's the end of the documentary. When I watched that,
crazy,
my jaw was on the floor. I was like, no way, this is how this ends.
I mean, it's such a good doc because it's rare that you get the subject to speak in the first place.
Yeah.
And then you get that on top of it. Like that. Yeah. That filmmaker struck like gold on that.
And it has brought these cases to fruition.
Yes, exactly. That's the most important part.
Yeah, it is. I mean, can you imagine that filmmaker sitting there being like, holy cow, do you know what we just caught?
Crazy.
On film.
Crazy.
It's absolutely wild. And that was essentially, that has been his downfall, because as we're going to get into, he was just convicted of the murder of Susan Berman. So this being said, like you said, it's very rare, especially with something that is either an ongoing case or has these alleged crimes have not been, solved or acquitted or convicted yet. Super rare that the person in the limelight, and not necessarily the great limelight, would like agree to do a documentary. Robert Durst, of all people, it's not such a surprise. He loves himself. He loves the attention. He's super narcissistic. So he was very willing to do this. And I think he was so narcissistic that he, obviously in his mind, it was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get me attention. This could bring in some money, what have you. I don't think anywhere in his mind he was like, oh, this could not bode well for me, being that I am guilty and this could point to my guilt. I just genuinely do not think that was a thought process that went through his head. Now, with those two, with the misspelling of Beverly, and obviously this huge, literally a confession on tape, it has come to fruition. These cases are now being brought forward because they have this legitimate evidence. So fast forward to September of 2021, his trial for Susan Berman, they were already looking into him. These crimes were already alleged that he was the one who murdered Susan Berman. Prosecutors now have this extremely damning evidence, so they can move forward with their case. So he was set to go to trial in March of 2020. Obviously, we all know that did not happen because COVID happened. So then he had a court date for October of 2020, but then he actually ended up catching COVID. So then it delayed it. Now this brings us into this month, September of 2021. So it brought its trial just for Susan Berman, because it's not smart in any case for prosecutors to have tried to go to trial for all three of the murders, because one, he was already acquitted of one of them, so they can't bring that back up. Mm-hmm. But even if you weren't, it would not be smart of them, because if they go in there with all three, that's all the cards they have in their hand. If he gets acquitted, that's all three. They can't try him, so they're going to try him separately.
Yep.
So this one that was happening, or just that he just got charged for, is just for Susan Berman. Now they took him to trial, and the jury went out for deliberation. Over the period of 3 days, they deliberated for 7 hours. 4 a case of this magnitude, and that has been going on this long, so literally since the 80s. It's really, all in all, that's not that long. That's less than one work day that the jury is out deliberating. And it was over the period of 3 days. So literally, 2, maybe 3 hours each day. Robert Durst was found guilty of first-degree murder of Susan Berman on, 2 weeks ago, September 17th. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Now, one interesting thing that I actually did not know is Robert Durst was originally arrested for the murder of Susan Berman. He was actually hiding out in New Orleans in a hotel, but they arrested him on the night before that final episode of the Jinx aired. So that night before, he was actually arrested for it. And then the next day when that episode aired, everyone was like, holy cow, we have a confession.
Yeah.
So what I think probably happened is that they had a confession. They had to turn that over to police to be like, hey, this is what I just caught on camera. Amongst all these other things that we've talked about in the documentary or confronted him about, this is everything we have. Clearly, this is going to help the case move forward. But just how ironic that the day before that episode aired, he was arrested for Susan Berman's murder.
I kind of do remember that, actually. It was, I mean, that feels like so long ago because I remember watching it live, and I remember like he was all over the place. Like, oh my God, he's like, something must happen or whatever, you know?
Yeah, it was huge. It was an incredible documentary, but, you know, I am absolutely over the moon that he has finally been brought to justice. Susan Berman can finally, you know, her family and friends can finally get some closure on the case. You know, this would be great if he was brought to justice for Morris Black and Kathleen, his wife, who disappeared. But it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's life without parole. Granted, he's 78 years old now. So that, you know, that doesn't carry as much weight as it would have if he were convicted at the time that she died, and he could have been in prison this whole entire time. But it's better than nothing. She finally got some justice. Another kind of just little tidbit that is just kind of random about Robert Durst, though, is after he was, there was suspicion around these deaths happening, Kathleen's disappearance, Susan Berman's murder. He actually fled to Texas and disguised himself as a woman for a while. Did you know that?
I did see that.
I don't think I knew that, or if I knew it, I forgot it, because he was disguised and he went by the name of Dorothy Sinner.
Did they say that in the doc? Was that in the Jinx or no?
That I don't really remember.
I'm not positive.
I don't remember that.
But I knew that somehow, unless if I read that afterwards. But
maybe.
It might have been in the doc. I'm not sure.
And he basically like outed himself when he was in a men's bathroom in public, and he like lit his wig on fire. I don't know what that was all about. Yeah, very strange. But anyways, he was going under this, you know, incognito look for a while because which doesn't scream innocent by any manners, but you know, that's kind of just a weird little tidbit. Obviously, he's in jail now. He's going to stay in jail for the rest of his life because, one, he's sentenced to it, and two, he's 78 years old. So who knows how long he has left. His health is definitely ailing. He was having health concerns. That's not a new thing. No. You know, obviously when you get to that age, you start having health concerns anyways. Yeah. He did catch COVID at one point. I don't know if that had any lasting effects on him, but whatever lasting effects it does have on him, it will have on him in prison.
There you go.
So that is where he will be for the rest of his life. Now, we'll touch on Gabby Petito.
Okay. Besides Dog the Bounty Hunter, who's on the case now.
Which, I don't know. How do you feel about that?
It's hard because it's such a serious situation.
Yes.
And like, I'm not saying Dog, like, I'm sure his heart is in the right place.
Yes.
But
I agree.
I think his heart's in the right. I don't know the guy. But, you know, I don't know. It just kind of brought like a weird, like,
almost like a mockery to it, like an entertainment thing to it.
Yeah, and I know, like, and that's unfortunate. He did, like...
Yeah, I get it. To me, when I saw that, I was like, this is my literal first initial reaction was, is this
Like
is this a joke? Is this
really
like,
yeah.
is he?
You can't joke about it, so I would say he's serious.
No, and
right?
I think at this point he's like absolutely
Yeah.
in it. But when I first saw it, like I saw a picture, a video of him like approaching the laundry house. I was like,
yeah,
really?
On the door, yeah.
Like, is this? I genuinely thought that it was like some sort of move, some sort of like play. I don't know. That's what I was just like. This has been huge. This national case, this huge tragedy, and like. Bring in Dog the Bounty Hunter. I truly did not know what to make of that. If he really is legitimate, like good.
Let's take it that he is.
Yeah.
Why do we have any? We don't have any reason really to say he's not.
No, and I think if he really wasn't, like, authorities would have been all over that.
Yeah,
they would,
yeah,
because the
sure.
FBI is handling this case now.
And
so
I didn't see much backlash either. Did you?
I have not heard any backlash from authorities.
But I'm sure a lot of people were like, had the same thought. But let's just take it.
Just an
at face
interesting
value.
thing that I was like,
Dog is trying to help.
Okay, Dog is trying to help, and he's set up his own location where he's searching right now for Brian Laundrie. Police are in, still doing, FBI are still doing their searches. There's been so much speculation and rumors and all these things. The only things that I want to touch and report on are things that we know for a fact is true. Obviously, since we have such a huge listener base, we don't need to be spreading rumors. And this is an ongoing investigation.
Yeah.
A couple of things. Since we reported last week on this, this is officially a manhunt now, as we kind of already knew, but this is a manhunt for Brian Laundrie. It was put out that there are now charges against him, which I really think this was kind of a case of like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks, because police just needed something. They needed some sort of charge to say, hey, we've got a charge. Now we've got a warrant for his arrest. Totally legitimate and totally, absolutely, that's what they should have done. The charges that are currently brought against him is unlawful use of access to a device in regards to a debit or credit card that was not his. Seemingly was Gabby's. He used about $1,000 that was not his. So these are the charges. They've got a warrant for his arrest. Obviously, once they just need something to be able to get him in. Obviously, I'm sure I would be willing to bet my savings on it that they're obviously going to bring more charges against him, but this is what they've got right now. We just turned it into a manhunt. They have warrants for his arrest. FBI have searched the vehicles, the van, the laundry home. Obviously, they're out searching now. Something I did see, if you guys are following Brian Enton, he is a news reporter, and has literally been camped out at the laundry home like 24/7. He is constantly going live, and he's giving really legitimate updates, and he's also squashing rumors really quickly. So I think that's a great source if you guys, want a 24/7 update on this. But essentially, what they've been doing is, or what has been said is like, yes, they are searching for Brian, obviously. But they're also searching certain areas looking for evidence as far as like that reserve goes, because it has been said that the Laundrie family, Brian and his parents, after he had come home from him at Gabby's trip, they went camping for a couple of days, which I think is odd and maybe suspicious. And so people have said with that, hey, maybe they were getting rid of something, or maybe they were like prepping something, whatever it may be. So I think that it's possible, we don't have confirmation yet, but it's possible that they could have discarded something out there in no man's land in this 25,000 acre reserve. So I think that, in addition to looking for Brian, there also might be clues or evidence out there as well. Obviously, this is a huge area to search if he's even still in this reserve. There's been a ton of resources used. There's been people on foot. There's been people on boat. There's been people in the air. There's dogs. They are exhausting every resource. They've got all hands on deck. Like I said, FBI is now taking this case. Obviously, Dog the Bounty Hunter is taking on this case. There's also the most recent discussion is about, have you heard about the phone?
I don't think I have.
So what?
The only thing I know about the phone is that he texted like not gonna have. No, he allegedly texted not gonna have service, but yeah, she said that or whatever. I don't know.
So the Laundrie's attorney put out, and this has been a huge point of discussion within the past couple of days that Brian had purchased a new phone after returning home from the trip, I think it is, or recently had purchased a new phone. So it has been confirmed by someone who was close to the Laundrie family that when Brian set out to go to the reserve, he left his phone, I think it was his phone and keys or wallet and keys, left them at home, which is not a good sign. Mm-hmm. Obviously, though, I mean, on the kind of on the flip side of the coin, if you're going out with the purpose to go into hiding, to go into this reserve or whatever, those might not be things that you need. You're not really going to need your keys. You're not really going to need your wallet, what have you. It has been said that he is clearly an avid survivalist. So, you know, like for me and you, if I would have been out in a reserve with nothing but a backpack for how many days now, I would not.
Yeah, you're done.
I can tell you right now, I'd be.
Yeah, I'm done too.
100%. He is someone who knows this area, is a survivalist, so it may be, you know, physically possible that he's doing just fine. Mm-hmm. So, you know, again, it comes down to kind of the circumstances of that. What I think is interesting about the phone is I just have a lot of questions around that. When was this new phone purchased? If it was left at home, why does it matter if he purchased a new phone? My biggest questions, though, are surrounding is the old phone. Because, he absolutely did leave the phone behind, I believe his phone and keys, because FBI now has possession of the phone. Now, my question with this is, where's the old phone? Does FBI also have the old phone? Yeah. Does he have the old phone? Do his parents have the old phone? Does the old phone have anything to do with it? Like, why are we focusing on the fact that he purchased a new phone unless it's significant? In the sense that, like, because a lot of people think that he is out wherever he is with a cell phone. So he could either be keeping himself up to date on this case. He could be in contact with whoever, his parents or whoever, whatever it may be, whether it's a burner phone, whether it's his old phone. A lot of people think that for some reason he's got a phone on him. So just very interesting points. Most of my questions, if we're saying that that's a point of contention in this case, is where's the old phone and is that significant? Or what is significant about this new phone? Why was it purchased? Why was it purchased and then left behind? Does he have a phone on him? A lot of questions. You know, does FBI have the, like I said, all these questions around it. Obviously, especially with a case like this, police know a lot more information than what we know. They're keeping it close to the chest because this is ongoing. This is a huge case. There's already so many rumors and speculation out there that the more information they put out there, the more that's going to happen.
I feel like when there's a fugitive like that, you don't want to release as little as possible because you could be watching. So
yeah, exactly. So those are our updates right now. So this is a manhunt. There are officially some sort of charges against him and some sort of focus, enough for where the Laundrie family's attorney put out a statement talking about the new phone. We'll see how that kind of all shakes out. Again, there's literally 24/7 coverage on this from Brian Enton. If you go on his Twitter, he's constantly going live, constantly tweeting anything. There hasn't been a ton of like huge movement as far as the search goes. A service was held for Gabby last Sunday, I believe, by her family.
There's no update on the body or anything?
No, I have not seen any updates on the body other than that her family did hold a service in New York.
Okay.
And as far as like the autopsy, manner of death, state of the body of that stuff, I don't think those have been released yet. An autopsy does take kind of a while to get through. There's so much to it that's probably going to take a while to get that kind of information. But obviously that'll be huge when it comes out. It may be able to at that time bring more charges against Brian. I don't know how long this search is going to go on before something is found. Hopefully not much longer. Clearly he is doing a good job of evading police detection, which again, the longer that goes on, the longer that, kind of diminishes his innocence, which I already think he doesn't have a lot of that left. But we'll see. I'm definitely keeping an eye on it. Definitely, obviously we'll keep you guys updated with movement as this is ongoing, but that's what we've got right now.
All right.
Yeah.
That was appreciated. Thank you, Allie.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. That's Robert Durst update, and that's a Gabby Petito update. So that's it for today, everybody. That's it for this week. We'll catch you all on Monday.